Ladies and gentlemen, now hosting the RizzoCast, put your hands together for Steven Rissotto!
What is going on, everybody, and welcome. This is episode number 110 of RizzoCast. I'm Steven Rissotto, and we're joined today by Jasper Lindsey. Jasper, what's going on? How you doing?
We're doing good. Baseball season in full swing. What more could I really ask for, Steve?
Definitely, and the weather is great. The weather's fantastic, and you know there's definitely storylines to go around the league right now. And I think one of the things that I saw on my timeline was Chris Sale, and baseball season's back when there's some angry people on a baseball field, right? And we saw the whole Angels and Mariners fight a few weeks ago. And we're kind of towards the middle of the season, past the halfway mark, and tempers are kind of soaring, not just in the big leagues, but at the minor league level too. Chris Sale was in his rehab start, and I think he threw 3 innings. He might have given up a big home run or something, or like a bases clearing double. And there was someone recording him getting taken out of his rehab start, and the recording followed him into the dugout, down the stairwell, into the tunnel, and they showed him just tearing apart a TV, destroying whatever else was in that tunnel. And I just feel like that's the most Chris Sale thing to ever happen. Did you see that? What was your first reaction when you saw that?
Yeah, so when most guys get sent down there for rehab starts, they typically buy the clubhouse dinner. Chris Sale took it an extra yard and just decided to destroy the clubhouse, which I thought, if you're a Red Sox fan, that's awesome to see. Chris Sale wants to be back. He wants to be pitching. Like a guy who's that passionate about messing up in the minor leagues on a rehab start, that would fire me up as a fan. But I thought it was hilarious. Every pitcher has their vice. Especially like with the meltdowns, those are always great to see. I remember Brian Wilson's a couple of years ago when he took the bat to the Gatorade container. But yeah, it was fun to see. Chris Sale is a hell of a competitor.
He had to have paid for that, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there's no way he did not pay for.
But he's making $100 million a year, or over several years, so he doesn't really care.
No, not at all.
That's TV's the best buy for him.
Exactly. The TV's the least of the worries, and it's a minor league TV, so how good could it be, right? But you mentioned like they always buy players, the minor league players, dinner or whatnot. Max Scherzer, like a few days before, or a few weeks, or like a week before, bought like a $15,000 like rib dinner for everybody, and like bought AirPods for every player. And he's an intense guy, and he's not getting mad at the at rehab results. So, I guess I understand where Chris Sale's coming from. There's certain guys that get fired up. Jake Peavy was like that. Who else were some guys that just like got fired up? There's one that I'm missing here that
Yordano Ventura, rest in peace. He'd always get
fired,
no matter what he did. I'm trying to think. I feel like Randy Johnson was always a hell of a competitor out there and always played with emotion.
I found the obvious one. Mad Bum.
Yep.
Just get everything. Yeah. Everything made Madison Bumgarner mad. And it's kind of interesting to see him in Arizona. And we saw the whole situation with the umpire and the foreign substance check, and he got mad at that. But
as he should. That was weird.
That was weird. I think umpiring's at a whole new low this season. I've seen it bad as it's ever been. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I wanted to start off with the Chris Sale thought, and just to follow up on that. We were both like athletes. I guess if you want to call it athlete, that might be generous considering we played baseball in San Francisco, which that's the least expected spot for baseball talent. But I guess we could kind of relate that when you get frustrated, you tend to take it out on something, right? Did you ever have those teammates that would just come in the dugout after striking out and slam the bat, or were you one of those teammates?
I had one time where I threw my helmet, but other than that, I think I was pretty even keel. Funnily enough, it was always the players who struggled the most who would get the most upset, which I thought was pretty funny. But I don't know. Baseball's a sport where you got to kind of suppress that emotion, especially. I think it's okay to show emotion when you're doing well, but when things are going bad, I don't know. I think I'm kind of a traditionalist in that sense, I guess. I would keep my head down and just keep grinding.
Yeah. Speaking of things going bad, have you seen the batting averages across the league?
Ridiculous.
Like every time a new team comes into town, they go, oh, well, here's Salvador Perez hitting at 213, or here is Joey Votto hitting at 215. And I know batting average isn't necessarily the stat that it once was in terms of reference and in terms of fanfare around it with the younger generation coming up, but can we have a guy hit 250? Is that too much to ask for?
Too much to ask, I guess, these days. But it's crazy too, because those guys will come to town, they'll have 213, 207, but their on base percentage will be incredible. So it's really just kind of a double-edged sword there, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's the upside for sure. And I guess looking at the standings, is there anything that sticks out? Because I guess the one that I'm looking up and that I'm keeping up with the most is it has to be the American League East. So the American League East is it's going to be a complete dogfight in terms of that wild card. There's teams that could get in, the Red Sox, the Rays. We know the Yankees kind of have that division locked up. The Yankees are on a historic pace, but I'm most intrigued with that whole second part of that division with the Rays and the Red Sox and the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays aren't as good as I think we thought. And I think the Yankees aren't as bad as we thought. We didn't think the Yankees would be bad, but we just thought that they would not be this good, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And I think with the Blue Jays especially, it comes down to Jose Barrios' inability to pitch. It's been a nightmare season for him. And this is a rotation which coming in, you got Gausman, Barrios, and then Ryu. And I think they were hoping Nate Pearson would be along a little more by now. But, yeah, I don't know. I think Toronto's definitely a team to watch the deadline, especially as they look for pitching and to add arms, because their lineup is lights out. 1 through 9, they can hit home runs, they can put in the seats. So, yeah, I think the AL West is really interesting, but I think the AL Central is equally as competitive. There's no team. It's been switching between the Twins, the White Sox, the Guardians. I don't know how the White Sox are still in it the way they've been playing. Sweeping the Giants obviously helped, but no one's really run away with that division yet. So I think especially as we get into August and as the trade deadline approaches, someone in that division I think is going to make a big splash move.
Yeah, and the Twins, I agree. I don't think the Twins are safe. They have a lead right now, but they're missing an ace, right? They don't have that guy that you could go, into a game one with confidently. As much as you have guys like Sonny Gray and Dylan Bundy and Chris Archer whenever he gets back, and Joe Ryan's been a nice surprise, but you don't have that guy. I think the Reds would be in the market for, maybe a Luis Castillo, right? There's another pitcher available, right?
Tyler Mahle, maybe.
Who?
Tyler Mahle.
Tyler Mahle, yeah, Luis Castillo, Tyler Mahle. There's one that I'm blanking on that is also going to be available.
Although he just got hurt.
Frankie Montas, yeah, that was the one that I was thinking of. But
if you're the A's, Frankie Montas getting hurt is your worst nightmare.
What a collapse! Why didn't they trade him?
I don't even know.
That's awful. That is so bad. The one guy that has value for you at the deadline, you can't trade. Probably should have traded him. That's a mess. But yeah, no, I do think the Twins need a frontline pitcher. And back to the Blue Jays for a second. Imagine if they had an outfielder. Imagine if they had one more big outfielder, one more maybe starting pitcher, definitely one more reliever.
Well, they had Randall Grichuk, and he's playing well for the Rockies.
I think that's a match made in heaven for the Rockies.
I thought Raimel Tapia was going to kind of burst on the scene out in Toronto, but he has yet to do that.
Yeah. Need another bat in Toronto, maybe.
Yeah.
That might help them a little bit, but they found something in the catcher that they have, Kirk.
Danny Jansen's a good catcher too, which is great. And then they still have Moreno in their farm system, Martinez at shortstop. But I really just don't know how you get those guys in the mix. So yeah, I think definitely, trading Austin Martin, kind of looking back, kind of hurts them. I feel like Austin Martin would have been the guy you could maybe call up this year and get going, but I don't know.
Yeah, and I know you were intrigued to see the Baltimore Orioles doing pretty well. They're 4 games below 500.
They fight, man. The Orioles are awesome to watch just because there's never a dull moment with them. And they got some guys who can put the ball in the seats. Mancini's still good. Mountcastle is probably one of the most underrated first basemen in all of baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Cedric Mullins is still a problem. And Adley Rutschman, he's starting to hit home runs. But the average is still not where you want it. But he's a young guy who's going to find his footing in the MLB. I don't doubt it for a second.
And Austin Hayes is really good too.
Oh yeah, Hayes, like, yeah, they have these guys and they can play, but like they're in the AL East, and that's kind of a death sentence if you're the weak link out there.
Yeah, it is. And it seems like we're going through just a trend in baseball where the 500 teams or the close to 500 teams are, and I guess that goes with the expanded playoffs, but like the Phillies are just 5 games above 500, and you know, they're in the mix right now for a wild card spot. You know, then of course you have the Cardinals who are 5 games up, but I mean, the National League Central is interesting too, because I mean, you have the Brewers and the Cardinals, kind of a 2-team race there, and you have the Brewers, who's starting pitchers outside of Corbin Burns with Woodruff and Peralta. They've been hurt. They've been kind of non-existent when they've been on the field too. So, I mean, I think the Brewers. I don't know about you, but the Brewers always seem like a bat away, don't they? Just like a bat away.
Yeah,
and I feel like Christian Yelich is a part of that too, because he needs to. You know,
are we? I feel like we're getting to the point where it's time to start talking about, like, is Yelich ever going to be the same player? I don't know if he is.
Yeah, I mean, 107 OPS plus. You know, he's an above average league hitter, but he's an above average league hitter, and he's just not the same in terms of like the MVP and the big second half that he had a few years back when he won the MVP. It's not the same. I mean,
which he could easily turn it on. I mean, I think he's just still not fully healthy.
He's only 30. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Feels like he's been around for such a.
It's also crazy to think that him and Bellinger were the 2 guys we were talking about as the faces of baseball, and now they've just kind of slipped off.
That's right. That's right. And what do you think about the National League East? Because there's a few teams here. I know the Braves got really hot, and they're going to catch the Mets, I think. You know, the Mets have been playing. The Mets played way over their heads, maybe, and now they're kind of.
The Mets played over their heads. I think the Mets, like, they got hurt, and they didn't deal with injuries well, and that's just how baseball goes sometimes. But I don't know. I think the Mets are so tired of this narrative that they're going to collapse, and I think that fan base is tired of it. I feel like something's going to click, and they're going to turn it on. They're going to go on a winning streak sometime soon. I mean, I don't want to say I'm rooting for the Mets, because I always root for the Mets to do their thing and lose. But I mean, it's getting to a point where, I mean, DeGrom has been lights out for so many years. I feel like that guy deserves to be playing meaningful baseball in September.
Yeah, and maybe playing over their heads wasn't the right term, I guess. But the Braves have, you know, they went on that big winning streak. They've been playing really well as of late. They're coming. They're going to come. They're coming. They have some position players that are playing really well.
Pitching depth too.
So much. Yeah, Soroka's coming back soon too.
Oh yeah, Michael Harris has been great, and that's the other thing is, like, some of their best pitchers aren't even pitching well yet. You know, Ian Anderson I know has struggled a little bit. Kyle Wright, but yeah, Soroka coming back, having Fried there, they're unreal. Yeah,
and it's going to be a dogfight because the Mets, who are they going to get back? They just got Scherzer back. They're going to get DeGrom back.
Exactly,
and they're going to get what's his name, Bassett back too. So
yeah, and Chris Bassett, hell of a pickup for the Mets.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the National League West, of course, you know, we get a lot of listeners that have their allegiance towards the San Francisco Giants, and they're now 41-40 at the time of this recording. 41-40 after 107 wins last year through their first 81 games. 41-40. I mean, does that shock you at all?
I don't know. Like, with the Giants, I never know what to expect with the Giants, because Farhan's been great at getting fines, but at one point or another, and they were talking about this on 95.7 the other day, they were talking about how, yes, you can get your fines, but he doesn't really have his farm system ready to come up and, like, bolster those fines in a way, like, because Luciano's not up there yet. Bart struggled. I mean, he almost hit the home run until a fan robbed him 2 nights ago, but they don't really have that homegrown core yet. So it's kind of like piecing together veterans and these kind of players they find that slip through the gap or slip through the cracks. I don't know. I mean,
they don't have that guy.
Yeah. Do you go all in at the deadline and get that guy? Is it time? I don't know.
I don't know what they do at the deadline.
And now Del Scafani's out for the year. I mean,
yeah.
Duvall has been slipping. But can't trust him in the ninth necessarily anymore.
And it's weird because the Giants are like top 5 in the National League at scoring runs, but it seems like they just have 3 hits every night. But yet you look at the leaderboard and, maybe they're not hitting home runs like they were last year. They broke a team record for home runs last season. They're not going to come close to that. They haven't had the pinch hit success in their defense. I was telling you off air that this is the worst defensive Giants team I've seen. And they're pitching,
is just a gap. There's first base, shortstop, third base. There's nothing in second base. It's ridiculous.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, absolutely. 100%. And, everybody just regressed. I mean, they played really well last year and everybody's kind of, Brandon Crawford regressed, Brandon Belt's regressing. You look at some of the outfielders with Mike Yastrzemski, and there's 3 bright spots on 4, I guess. Now I'm thinking of all the 4 bright spots on this team. Camilo Duvall. Okay. And this is not in order, but Camilo Duvall, he's an established bullpen arm now. He's had a few blown saves, but which closer doesn't, right? Duvall. Carlos Rodon was a great find. He's been good. Hasn't been himself lately, but still really good.
How do you punch. You don't get run support.
Exactly. Logan Webb is another bright spot. Just even when he doesn't have his best stuff. Last night he did not have his best stuff. He only had 2 strikeouts, and he still got through 8 innings. And then Jock Peterson. Those are your bright spots right now.
And only one of those is a hitter.
Yeah, one of those is a hitter. And when I walk around the ballpark, and I'm sure when you go to games, you feel the same way. When you walk around the ballpark, what jerseys do you see? Tim Lincecum, Brian Wilson, Matt Cain, Bonds. Nobody from this team, man. Nobody.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know if you're ready, to shell out prospects like that, especially if you're going after a guy like Wilson Contreras, who's on the final year of his deal. And you run into a similar situation where you ran with Chris Bryant, where you get this guy, but you can't keep him in the Bay. And I don't know. Yeah, the Giants, it's not time to worry. I mean, they played out of their minds last year. They went beyond expectations, and they've kind of fallen back down to earth, but they're not a bad team. They're moving in the right direction. I think you need to get those homegrown guys up, and they need playing time. But it's hard when you don't know if you're still rebuilding or competing.
And there's a positive to this because, they played at the time of this recording, they played the Padres really tough last night. And, got the game, the extra innings, they had scoring opportunities. It didn't happen. But the good thing that the Giants have coming towards them, and this could be a curse or a blessing, is that in the second half, they have a lot of matchups between the Arizona Diamondbacks, and the Dodgers and the Padres. So whether you see the matchups between the Dodgers and the Padres as a negative, it's also a way for them to make up ground in the postseason. And I guess in the not just the wild card race, but also, whatever last chances they have at the division. I don't know if that's even in the question at this point, but you want to square up against those teams. Those are the teams you want to play. Because they haven't been playing good against the 500 teams. So 500 or below teams. So, I mean, you gotta play well against those teams if you want to win.
How it goes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I mean, the Padres are going to be great, and they finally have talk about a team with pitching depth. I mean, Mike Clevenger's back, and he hasn't skipped a beat. Blake Snell's finally starting to pitch well, and just how scary is that team going to be when they get Tatis back and fully healthy? I mean, it's going to be ridiculous. Yeah,
maybe a bullpen piece away, know, and I like what they have with the pitching. Joe Musgrove, I think, is one of the best pitchers in the National League.
Absolutely.
Yu Darvish is always seemingly like that type of guy. He's not the guy that everybody thought he would be in terms of being an ace, but he walks in the clubhouse and you know what you're going to get every single year. It's not bad. It's not ace level, but it's just solid, number 2 starter stuff. Yeah. A lot of strikeouts. I mean, just someone who's just been so consistent throughout his career.
He hovers around probably I'd say 3.32, 3.
Yeah.
Sometimes it'll dip below 3, but Yu Darvish he's consistent,
and he's going to give you a chance to win, and that's the most important thing. Mackenzie Gore, So, I mean, they have a nice kind of nucleus that they're forming down there in downtown San Diego, and then a few miles up north. On Monday the 12th, no, on Monday the 19th, or Tuesday the God, now all my days are screwed up. The MLB All-Star Game is going to be on Tuesday, the 19th, at Dodger Stadium, just a few hours north of Petco Park in San Diego at Dodger Stadium. And I mean, I don't think I've been around for an All-Star Game at Dodger Stadium. I feel like that's a great venue for an All-Star Game because you have Hollywood there and the stars are going to come out. But I'm just really excited for a Dodger Stadium All-Star Game. I think that's a really fun venue.
It's going to be great. I think it's going to be awesome. And it's going to be this clash of kind of modern baseball with traditional baseball. And it's going to be great for the league. I think you're going to get a lot of eyes come July, whatever the date is on.
Yeah, Dodger Stadium, nice weather too. Like it's not going to rain.
Yeah.
It's just perfect. And I hope we get some like stars coming out too. That would be cool because then it will give Fox the opportunity to do the whole in between innings. Oh, J-Lo's here in a suite.
Yeah, right.
And there's Mark Wahlberg sitting on the third base side, so that would be cool. But and I know we kind of did some All-Star Game picks, and granted, MLB has a new voting format where some guys are already locked into his starting spot. I think Judge and there might be another few guys that are locked in.
Another outfielder. I forget who it is, though.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. Goldschmidt might be locked in, I think. I'm not sure. But I figured that we could go through real quick and just kind of pick out some of the I guess we could start with the American League, and we could go position by position here. I'll start. I'll go with Alejandro Kirk. I kind of name dropped him earlier. He's been a nice surprise for Toronto, and there's just no other good catchers in the American League right now. That's my reason.
His other competition is Jose Trevino.
Yeah. Like we thought it would be Salvador Perez, right? Broke the home run record for catchers last year.
Adding 270 is considered an all-star for a catcher. So.
Absolutely, yeah. So Kirk, who's your guy there at catcher for the AL?
It's Kirk. I mean, there's no one else, right?
Yeah. And then this one was tough. First base for the American League was tough too because, I guess the popular vote right now, I believe, is Ty France from the Mariners. But, he might be having a better year. But I want to see Vlad. I want to see Vlad Jr. at first base.
Absolutely. And he's probably going to be Vlad. I mean, I don't know. France is still hurt, I'm pretty sure, too.
Yeah. Or no, he just came back, I think. But Vlad, I mean, I combined it with kind of like guys that are having good years, but also guys that I want to see.
Yeah.
And it won't be someone that's like a great player, but, not good this year. It's going to be someone who's kind of having a blend of notoriety plus a good year. Second base, as much as people hate him, Altuve back at Dodger Stadium. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah.
That should be a nice ovation for him.
I think I went Espinal for second base. I refuse to vote for any Astro player.
Fair. Anyway. I understand that. And the funny thing is that
the boos will be great though when he steps to the plate.
They will be. Yeah, absolutely. Kevin Biggio was supposed to be the second baseman for the Blue Jays. What happened to him?
I don't even know. There's all these guys. Like Biggio kind of fell off. I always find like players who I used to root for and like kind of were up and coming and then they just kind of taper off. Yeah, Biggio was a guy who I think I thought when he first burst on the scene was going to be a big part of the Blue Jays lineup going forward because they had it was advertised as the three kids of the former and it was going to be a great marketing tool, but Biggio's kind of tapered off a little bit.
Exactly.
He's still young. He'll be fine.
No. Who's your AL shortstop?
I honestly forget who I put, but I think I picked Bo Bichette. I mean,
yeah.
There's another guy who I just wanted to see play, and Bo Bichette's awesome. He's great for the game of baseball. I don't know. Who do you have?
I have Xander Bogaerts. I think he's severely underrated. There's talk about when the Red Sox signed Trevor Story, there's talk about moving Bogaerts to second.
Yeah.
But he's playing a really good shortstop too, so got to give him credit. And then third base was really difficult, but I think Jose Ramirez is the guy at third base.
It has to be. Jose Ramirez, I mean, he has kind of slowed down a little bit, but he's still he's put the Guardians on his back. It's incredible to see.
And he doesn't strike out.
Yeah. No, he's great for baseball. He's everything baseball should be.
Yeah, he's fun. He doesn't strike out. And I guess the other guy that we could put, Rafael Devers, just he's going to be on the team anyways. So
And he's going to be a perennial MVP candidate. So
yeah, another guy who's just super underrated.
He's so young too. It's crazy.
Yeah. So we'll go with Ramirez, and then outfield. For 3 outfielders, I put Judge, Trout, and then he's in there as a DH, but I also put Yordan Alvarez.
Yeah.
Because I kind of cheated a little bit. I wanted to fit him in there because I had Ohtani at DH. So I wanted to fit because Yordan is like the best hitter in baseball this year by.
He's crazy. He's insane.
He's insane.
The deal the Astros got him on is a steal.
Where'd they get him from again?
I mean, I think they got him internationally, but the deal he just signed with them, I think, was way below what the best like.
That's right.
I think he should be demanding Judge money, but he got signed for I think 6 years, $100 million plus.
You're a good call. Yeah, that's rough. You know, he would be making much more if he signed it a few off seasons from now or next off season.
That's the crazy part. He signed it this year.
Yeah. That news just kind of flew right over my head.
Yeah. It was like when Acuna and Albies signed their $100 million deals a couple years back, and they were way below what I thought they were.
Didn't Acuna get like 6 years, Albies got like 6 years, 30 million or something, or no?
Something insane like that.
And I knew Acuna got like 8 years, 100.
Yeah, which is still 8 years, 100 million for a guy who's going to be the face of your franchise. It's
just think of how pissed off you might be if you're Ronald Acuna and you're looking at the headlines with Juan Soto and the massive payday he's about to get, and just going, "Oh man, you know, I got $100 million. He could have gotten $200 million easy, and that might have been on the low side."
And if you think about and how mad are you if you're Freddie Freeman, the Braves still have all this money they haven't spent on Acuna.
Oh man, did you keep up with? We could go on a little tangent. Did you keep up with that whole weekend? Oh my goodness!
Wild.
Oh my god. So I had like inklings that Freddie really didn't want to be in LA.
Yeah.
I mean, when he came back, and he walked in the room of reporters and started crying, I understand, but it seemed like every twist and turn of that weekend, he was in tears, and it's, great. He was a guy who's big part of that team, big part of the way the Braves, went about their business. But Clayton Kershaw said it best, I hope we're not second fiddle. And
I think they are, though.
I think they are too.
And the firing of the agent was weird. Now, I heard the rumors. I'm not entirely sure because you can get sued by his agent if you say anything like that.
Yeah, that could be why. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So I don't know if that's all there, but the timing of the firing of the agent was really weird to me.
So I'm thinking that he went in there. He went in the Truist Park in Atlanta, saw some old friends, and they're like, "Oh man, sad that you're not with us." And then he's like, "I would have come back, but the Braves didn't offer." And then somebody must have said something like, "Well, we did offer you something." And then Freddie Freeman's going to say, "Oh, well, I didn't get an offer." And then that's where the agent, that's what I think might have happened, or at least what's being alleged. But I mean, it's just, he did not want to be in LA. He wanted to be in Atlanta for sure. And I do feel bad for the abuse that he got for leaving Atlanta, because it did kind of make it, people did kind of make it look like it was his fault.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So,
but I mean, when your team trades for Matt Olson, what else are you supposed to do? I mean, shut the farm system for Matt Olson. That
was the nail in the coffin. But Olson's been good for them. Freeman's been good for LA. So
yeah, and Olson looks like a steal thus far. I mean, Pache has not come along the way the A's expected.
Yeah, but it will be forgotten about. I think eventually Freeman will warm up to LA, but I haven't seen anything much like that where a guy just openly played on a different team for the series or
Crazy.
Not physically, but mentally, I should be here,
It's insane.
Weird.
Yeah.
But who do you have in the outfield? Kind of the same structure there with Judge, of course. Judge, I'm sure.
I got Judge, Trout, and then I think I've forgiven George Springer enough, so I give it to George. He's been on that leadoff spot for the Blue Jays.
I think Springer's one of the top leadoff home run hitters ever. I think he's got he's going to break the record for most leadoff home runs ever. I mean, that shows you how much teams put big power guys in the leadoff spot now. But, and then DH Ohtani, we want to see him. There's no question about it. And then pitching wise, I know nobody really votes on this. The managers pick the pitching staff, but Shane McClanahan from Tampa Bay is just a monster.
Has to be there.
He's a monster.
Incredible.
He's incredible. Yeah. And then Justin Verlander, anyone?
I thought he was done. I couldn't lie, but he has come back with a fury, and he can still sling it, man. He's awesome to watch.
Do you remember when there's that time when he was still with the Tigers and his velocity was hovering around 90, 92, and he had like the arm surgery or whatever, and they're like, oh, Verlander's done. And then he just completely rebounded with Houston, and he's found kind of a second home there. He could pitch for a while.
His velocity still climbs as the game goes on. It's incredible to see.
And when we think of pitchers that do that, who do we think of? Justin Verlander. So that's kind of cool. I put Gausman on there too. I think Gausman, I'd like to see him.
The guy who I think the Giants probably wish they still had a little bit.
Yeah, maybe so. That would be a nice three-headed monster with Rodon. I think they could have afforded both.
Yeah, especially since they didn't move for a guy, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, and then if I were to pick one relief pitcher, it would be Holmes, Clay Holmes from the New York Yankees.
He's
just
there.
A monster. Absolute monster. Yeah. He'd be my guy. And then in the National...
I'd go with someone out of the Tigers' pen. The Tigers' bullpen's been unreal.
They should deal some of those guys.
Oh, yeah. They definitely have to. The Tigers' bullpen's been great, so I think you'll see some of that as all-star representatives.
Yeah. Is there anybody we're missing there in the American League? I think we nailed it all.
I don't know. I don't think so. I think we're pretty good here. Let me check real quick. But
there's good players all over the. I feel like because Devers is the one that I really didn't want to leave out, but I also wanted to put Ramirez in there some way, somehow.
Alek Manoah for the Blue Jays.
Yes. He's been a nice shot in the arm.
Yeah.
Julio Rodriguez he's going to be the second half MVP, I think.
That man can run, and he just puts balls in seats, and that's all he does. It's great to see. And,
Byron Buxton.
Yeah.
I'm also looking at Kyle Tucker, who's cemented himself as a really consistent player.
Yeah. Man, it seems like the Astros lose a guy and they just add another. It's crazy. Yeah. That is probably one of the most well-run farm systems in all of baseball.
Yeah, and look how they built it by tanking. And that was like 10 years ago, and it's still going pretty well. You know, that's crazy. Impressive. And
I think they really kicked ass in the international market too.
That too. Yeah. Orioles, I hope, are going down that pace. You know, Pirates, I think we're starting to see with Pittsburgh too.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, now they're finally not trading away all their assets for bogus deals.
Did you see that graphic of all the pitchers that the Pirates had?
It's crazy. Every time I see that thing, it's insane. I mean, you're talking about Glasnow, Clay Holmes, another guy,
Tyone, yeah.
Musgrove.
Cole, that's 5. Charlie Morton, if you want to go way back.
Yeah,
you know,
that's 5 guys. Like, that's rotation. Is if Charlie Morton's your 5 guy,
that's pretty damn good.
Crazy. Yeah.
Oh man. All right. Well, let's go over to the National League. There's no good catchers there's no good catchers anywhere. It's just really hard to find value at that position.
Well, Wilson Contreras is still.
Yeah, he's my guy there.
It's crazy though. I don't know what's up with being a catcher these days and just not being able to hit. I think it's just such a defensively overwhelming position that that's your main goal. You're the field general. You're not there to hit.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense too. That would probably be my reasoning as well. In the first base, I mean, I don't think there's any doubt that Paul Goldschmidt is heading down an MVP, avenue.
His first?
I think so. Yeah. Would it be his first? I don't think
his first. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he was stuck on the Diamondbacks for so long.
You know what? I think we start getting into the debate. Is Paul Goldschmidt a Hall of Famer? We'd have to look deeper into that.
The way he's playing at 33, 34. The way he's playing at 34, he's crazy. He's incredible. It's going to be interesting to see how long he can keep this up. But I think Goldschmidt could be on the Hall of Fame.
I kind of put him right now in the same level as and I haven't looked at the numbers, so this could be way off, but in the same category as Mookie Betts, Arenado, Machado, that like a little bit below tier, like not yet, still possible.
I'd throw him in the Buster Posey category.
Okay.
Although Posey has more accolades, but their stat lines are pretty similar.
Yeah, I could see that too. Goldschmidt, of course, I think he's one of the best first basemen of this generation, no doubt about it.
Easily.
But I do want to give props to Pete Alonso. He would be my number 2, and I know he's getting a lot of fanfare.
Yeah.
With the votes as the
as he should.
The pet washing van comes up in my driveway. The dog groomer. But yeah, no, Pete Alonso, having a good year, and I think we're starting to really see Pete Alonso be a leader for a New York Mets team that wins. We've seen it kind of like spurts of it, but now a winning Pete Alonso is something cool to see because he kind of takes that mentality and takes it very seriously, and he's good at it.
Yeah, no, and he was the head guy for Let's Fucking Go Mets.
Yeah, exactly. Now the owner uses it, so
I know it's crazy.
Gotta love
Keep
that.
going. What a guy! That
What a guy. We love the polar bear, and maybe he wins his 3rd straight home run derby.
Yeah, and we're coming up on the anniversary of the Mets losing Kumar Rocker.
Oh man, yes, that's right.
All-time draft fumble.
And now who's gonna draft him this year?
I don't know. It's gonna be. He was tearing it up in the independent league he was playing in.
Yeah, that should be interesting. I wish I knew more. I wish I prepared better for the draft.
Yeah.
I only know one guy, Drew Jones, who is Andrew Jones' son, who's expected to go number 1 or 2 overall.
Yeah.
And also Nazir Moulay, who was on the podcast way long ago, who's just a stud out of Paterson, New Jersey. He's probably going to go in the 2nd or 3rd round. He's like 18, throws 99. So, and then second base for the National League, I put Tommy Edman. Again, just not really a rich position.
Yeah, I think Ozzie Albies was the other option at this point, so I have Albies going just because.
Yeah,
he's a guy where it's just the namesake. I feel like at this point, like he still puts up great stats, but I don't know.
He'll probably be there, but it's a shame that he won't be able to play with his broken foot or whatever he has. But that probably would have been my pick too if he was on the field. Yeah, second, Tommy Edman's been surprisingly really good, especially defensively as well.
Yeah, and they need it, especially with Paul DeYoung just tanking.
Oh man, what a fall off!
Crazy.
Now shortstop is where it gets a little bit interesting because I think it's a 3-man race with Lindor, who's kind of had a bounce back year, Trey Turner, who's kind of your perennial guy at that position, and then out of nowhere, Dansby Swanson in a contract year, finally playing really well.
I don't know. I mean, Dansby Swanson had a great year last year. I feel like we can't take away from
that. Yeah, but I think that this is really his, he's finally coming into his own, I think.
He's finally the guy they drafted.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to get paid a little bit this offseason. But I think I would still go Trey Turner, but Dansby's going to be on the team, no doubt.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I go Trey too. I think somehow Fernando Tatis still leads the voting though.
Oh my gosh.
The field. Yeah. Everyone loves the kid.
Yeah, at that point you have to put like qualifying numbers on it, right? You got to on the ballot. If you're MLB, you have to put something that qualifies them to be voted,
Exactly.
Because otherwise it becomes just a bloodbath. Third base is another interesting one because you got another two-man race with Machado and, of course, Nolan Arenado.
Oh, yeah.
Both having like almost identical years. Who do you pick? I mean, that's hard.
I go Machado just because he's been incredible a little more, and he did get hurt, so he wasn't able to see the field there for a little bit. But yeah, Machado, he's the Manny of old. He's the Manny we all expected to see. San Diego, and they paid him $298 plus. So
when you saw the video of Machado running down the first base line and like falling on the bag, did his season flash before your eyes? Because it did for me. I thought he was done. I thought he was done for.
Yeah, no, I thought the way his leg exploded, I thought it was over. But I mean, he scraped out of there with just a sprain. It's incredible to see. I mean, Manny just catches all the breaks.
Yeah. And I think
as much as I hate it, Manny Machado catches every break he can.
Yeah. And I think the narrative about like Manny Machado being really hated and just like, oh, he did the interview where, a few years ago where he said, I'm not a guy that gives it, 100% every time. We're past that, I think. I think now we're at the point where people are starting to appreciate Manny Machado. He's so durable. He like when he's not hurt, he plays every single game. He goes out there every day. I mean, he's just a guy that we could appreciate. So
just wait till the
hats off.
Padres make a playoff run. He pulls some bullshit in the playoffs, and then I hate Manny Machado.
Yeah, he gets booed everywhere. But hey, if you're getting booed, that means you might be doing something right.
Exactly.
And then outfield, of course, in the National League. My outfielders were Betts, Soto, and I put Jock Peterson there too.
Yeah, I'm giving
Jock.
Yeah, 100%. He deserves it. Jock has been playing great. He's been playing some of the best ball of his career.
Yeah, and I think the funny thing about Soto is that he's kind of having a down year by like his standards, but by major league standards, he's still way very good. I don't know if that's a word, way very good, but we're gonna roll with it.
Oh, another sneaky first base guy we forgot to talk about. Or like we can get to snubs in a second, but I think two guys that aren't getting looked at enough are CJ Cron and Josh Bell.
Josh Bell, possibly of a different uniform come deadline time.
Possibly a different uniform, and the second that new uniform pops on, is he an MVP candidate?
Woo! Jasper Lindsey with the firing takes right here. Man.
Bell's having a hell of a year.
Yeah, and the DH, I know he's out for a little bit, but Bryce Harper,
has to be.
Yeah, his those stats will hold up for sure. He's the guy at that position, and he'll get
the MVP as of now.
Yeah,
he's the current holder of the MVP award.
No debate for me. And here's the controversy. So there's a little bit of discussion about Tony Gonsolin and Sandy Alcantara getting the start. Gonsolin has a better ERA, more wins. While Alcantara has kind of more of the strikeouts, innings. He's more of the workhorse. I would go Alcantara, but I understand that it might have a different significance with the game being at Dodger Stadium. Does that play any factor for you?
Yeah, and we were talking about this before the show. I feel like if you're starting Gonsolin and you're going with like, oh, it's LA, you got to start Shohei too. So you're taking away from probably Shane McCallahan's start. But no, I don't know. It's a cool talking point, but I think Sandy Alcantara deserves to start this All-Star game. Now, will he? Is like, and this is just kind of a thing where it's like analytics versus the flashy stats. Are we going to go with wins and ERA and strikeouts, or are we going to go with the guy who has swing and miss stuff night in, night out and goes 7 innings every time it takes him?
Yeah. And I guess also depends on who's available. I don't know what Alcantara's schedule is. I don't know what Gonsolin's schedule is, but sometimes you don't get to see the stars because they pitch like the day before or something. So who knows?
Both in the game.
Yeah, I think so too. And then of course, is there any debate that Josh Hader's the National League's best relief pitcher?
Never a doubt.
Never a doubt. Okay, perfect. And then Rob Manfred said that he's able to pick 2 legends, quote unquote legends, to participate in the All-Star game.
Love it when Rob makes up rules.
Yes, making up the rules. Apparently, is in the CBA.
As he goes along.
He might have just snuck it in, right? Wrote it in pen in the CBA. But I personally think he nailed this one. He couldn't have gone better routes. He picked Albert Pujols from the Cardinals and Miguel Cabrera from the Tigers to represent the National League and the American League. Pujols is a no-brainer. I mean, who knows where you go in the American League, but I think Cabrera was the right answer too. That would be awesome to see Albert and Miggy on the field during the All-Star game. They might feel a little awkward because maybe it's a sense of like, do I deserve this? But I think it's a really cool thing.
Miggy's batting above 300, so Miggy absolutely deserves this.
He might deserve to be there anyways. Yeah, you're right.
He's 13th in the league in batting average.
Yeah,
crazy at his age. I mean, his power is sapped, but he's still putting up respectable numbers. He's a star hitter still. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah, and of course Albert getting that kind of like, have you noticed like a very hesitant farewell tour? Like it's like they don't know if he did say that this was his last year, but like for some reason teams they're treating it as like it wasn't officially said, and like there's like half ovations. Like, this guy should be getting bowed down to.
I know. He's been a half decent hitter this year, so maybe I think he feels he still has something left in the tank.
Maybe. I'd be shocked if he plays next year. I think it's a long shot. But it's cool that he gets to finish out his career in St. Louis with Yachty and Wainwright.
Yeah.
It seems like Wainwright might go on.
You think about the way we sent out guys like Mariano Rivera and Derek Jeter. They were getting they were getting the bow down to the Pujols deserved. It's kind of weird to see it.
Yeah. Pujols was better than both. And granted, Rivera's a pitcher and it might not add up the same. A relief pitcher at that. But, man, Albert's one of the best.
People forget that home run he hit off Brad Lidge is still in orbit.
It's still flying. It's absolutely still flying. Pujols has given St. Louis the lead. Just silence. He had 3 home runs in the World Series in 2011 in one of the games. That stretch from 2001 to 2011 was like the best any right-handed hitter's ever had. Yeah. Just a monster, and he's still going. He used to be on those like 2008 video games, and now he's still playing. Crazy. Amazing. There's another guy. Speaking of legends, we mentioned Jeter. Derek Jeter, I believe on Monday before the All-Star game, there's a documentary, and I've been waiting for this. I'm a big Derek Jeter fan, but I also acknowledge that he's not maybe, I don't like the term overrated, but I think he's not the baseball player that most people think he is when you think of Derek Jeter. But I'll get to that point in a second. But I'm excited for this documentary coming out on ESPN, kind of highlighting his career. They nailed it with The Last Dance with Michael Jordan and those 90 Bulls teams. I can't wait. ESPN does such a good job with these things that I've been waiting for this for months now. So it's gonna be great. Yeah. What are your favorite Jeter moments? Do you have any?
Yeah, there was this thing he did a couple years ago where he sold his shares with the Marlins that I thought was pretty cool. No, I mean, I gotta say, hitting a home run for your 3,000th hit,
yeah,
that was incredible to see, and walking it off in his final game at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, those are 2 great ones, and I wish we could have seen Jeter with those 90s teams. That would have been so fun.
Yeah, I think that's why the overrated conversation starts up.
Yeah. And speaking of the overrated conversation, I understand that people want to say, oh, Nomar Garciaparra was better and Barry Larkin was better, but Jeter's getting all this because he played in New York. That's the beauty of it. Nobody's arguing that Derek Jeter was, Derek Jeter's a great baseball player, no doubt, but nobody's arguing that he was bad defensively. Nobody's arguing that he might have not been the guy you were scared of when navigating through the Yankees lineup, but people are just saying he was the face of one of the best modern day dynasties ever. And he did it in the biggest city. He handled the media well. He handled everybody well. And publicly, the whole thing you thought about when you thought of Derek Jeter was winning. Because that's all he said publicly. Oh, Derek, what did you think about your accomplishment? Well, we won today. He was that guy that would answer with those. So I don't know. I think he was such a figure.
He was a leader.
Captain, the leader in New York, the face of baseball for so many years. And the next time people want to trash Derek Jeter, look at his impact. Look at how many guys wore number 2 because of Derek Jeter. So that's my rant.
No, there you go, man. I completely agree. One other moment I forgot when he flipped that ball with the catcher. He had no reason being over there, but that guy, his range was unlimited.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and speaking of the inspiration, people try to do that now. Kids try to do that. Kids do the jump play. Every time you do the jump play, you are literally living under a rock if you don't do the jump play and then say Jeter.
He's the Kobe of
Kobe. Yeah, exactly. Everybody associates the jump play with Jeter, and it's not just some wicked clown play. It's an effective play that major leaguers still use. And nobody used it before. So it's absurd. I could understand why people want to say he's not. He's not Cal Ripken. He's not. I understand it, but he's also not just some scrub that just happened to be on a winning team. Yeah. So I think that's really unfair. But
the guy has 3,000 hits. What are we talking about?
3,000 hits, biggest stage, one uniform, winner. I remember his last walk-off single too. against the Orioles. The Orioles actually ended up tying the game late in that one, and then Jeter was due up third in that inning and got the base hit to win the game. And that was pretty awesome. Yep. So you got to love that. But I can't wait for this documentary. I think it's going to be like 6 parts, I heard, or something. It's going to be outstanding on ESPN there. And one of the things that I saw from the preview was they talked to Alex Rodriguez. So that is something to look for, because there's reported bad blood between them for so many years. So, but who's still owning a professional sports team? Not Jeter, A-Rod. Yeah. Timberwolves, baby. Let's hop into what's going on here in the second half. I know we touched a little bit on deadline. We could finish with deadline, then we'll go into a deeper deadline. We'll do a separate show on that maybe for sure. Just kind of at glance, looking around the standings, we'll go back to them. Is there any team that just like is full on surprising that might buy? I mean, maybe that you didn't think would buy before, but it's going to buy now. I mean, it's
Phillies. I think the Phillies have to buy.
Yeah.
They got to buy bullpen relief. The
Definitely.
Giants, if they get bad enough, like, not bad enough, but if they lose to the point where they're not in that wild card window anymore, do you think about moving Jock?
Yeah, I could see that too. And he's the guy that was traded last year on a 1-year deal, so I don't see why they wouldn't do it again. But yeah, I think the Giants, for now, I think they stand pat.
Absolutely. And if they go on a crazy win streak, you absolutely add someone. I want to say maybe the Mariners, just because they've had a resurgence recently, and they could definitely use another starting pitcher if they want to take a run at that wild card spot.
Absolutely, 100%. And again, we'll dive into the deadline. That was just a tease. We wanted to give it a little bit of a tease of what's to come. I'll give a big tease right here to kind of end it here. What will the Angels do? Maybe not this offseason, maybe not this deadline season, but like, when's enough? Like, when is it going to be complete torn down? When is Ohtani, who's, everybody's talking about his contract situation, when he's a free agent? Is Ohtani likely on the move soon? Is Mike Trout the best player the Angels franchise I've ever seen? Is he on the move soon? I mean, maybe we can answer that another day, but I'm just going to tease that. So, yeah. Anyways, Jasper, enjoy the All-Star game. I'll be in San Diego the week leading up. So not only did I miss this Giants series in San Diego, I'll be in LA the last few games of that trip, and then or the last few days of the trip, and I'll miss the All-Star game by a few days too. So just a poorly planned trip on my part. So enjoy the All-Star game.
Oh, I will. Hopefully we have a representative for the Rockies, but I doubt it.
Yeah, who do you think would
I mean, it's got to be CJ Cron, right? Or maybe Daniel Bard. He's been a great relief pitcher. I'll tell you what, if Chad Kuhl gets an All-Star nod, there goes his trade value. So I'm kind of rooting for that a little bit. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
That would be epic if Brian Snicker goes, I want Bud Black on my staff. Hey.
Able to see.
Wouldn't be shocked. All right, man. Well, enjoy your week, and yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for this episode. 110 episodes. Crazy to think. And you guys could follow the podcast on Twitter and Instagram at RizzoCast. Subscribe, Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube, wherever you find your podcast, and have a great day.